Hello and welcome. Welcome to Vaughan Inglés 4.0, a program designed for you. An interesting, stimulating, fun, entertaining, and very productive English program designed for you. And some of you are beginning now with me and with other teachers in this program at the advanced level. For those of you for whom this is the first class, welcome. It's good to meet you. I'm glad to have you as a student. And for the next 195 hours, I'm going to be with you every day, helping you consolidate your mastery of the English language, to improve many aspects typical of advanced students, and to review, yes, to review, o mejor dicho incluso, to go over a lot of aspects that you think you know, but that I personally don't think that you have a good mastery of. And for those of you who are not new, for those of you who are joining me after the intermediate level or the beginner and intermediate level, it's good to see you again. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you have finally reached el nivel avanzado, the advanced level. But in this level, I'm going to speak less Spanish. Voy mimaros menos. I'm going to spoil you less, treat you a little more harshly, de forma áspera. No, áspera no, pero con amor. But I'm not going to give you the benefit of the doubt and say things certain times in Spanish. So, let's begin. Let's start for something that maybe you think is easy, but I guarantee you, even you people who think you're super advanced, you make constant mistakes with this expression. Negative questions. We'll begin on camera 1. 1, 2, 3. Okay, negative questions. For example, you see this? It's a pin. But this isn't an elephant. Ask me why. Well, why isn't that an elephant? Why isn't that an elephant? Because it's a pin. These aren't, estos no son. These aren't tables. Ask me why. Why aren't those tables? Why aren't those tables? Well, they're not tables because they're pieces of paper. Okay? I'm not French. Well, Richard, why aren't you French? Why aren't you French? You're not the teacher. Oh, Richard, why aren't I the teacher? Okay? These aren't my toes. Why aren't they your toes? Because they're my fingers. Okay? My fingernails aren't dirty. Well, why aren't your fingernails dirty? Because they're clean. Because they're clean. Okay? This isn't a clock. Well, why isn't that a clock? Because it's a watch. Okay. In negative questions, preguntas negativas. ¿Por qué no estás aquí? ¿Por qué no tienes un coche de oro? ¿Por qué no duermes en el lado izquierdo de la cama? Why don't you? Always, we make the contraction. The contraction is mandatory, obligatory, even when you're writing, okay? Even in formal English, when you formulate a negative question, ¿No está Pedro listo? Isn't Peter ready? Aren't you ready? Aren't my fingers long? Aren't my hands long, big? Isn't this a cup? Isn't there water in your cup? Okay. Always, we make the contraction when we speak and when we write. It's possible not to make the contraction, but it sounds very old English, or it sounds very unnatural English, okay? That's not a television. Well, why isn't it a television? Because it's a camera. Texas isn't a country. Why isn't Texas a country? Because it's a state in the United States. It's a state in the United States. Huelva isn't a nation. And why isn't Huelva a nation? Because it's a province in Spain. Spain isn't in South America. No. Why isn't Spain in South America? Because it's in Europe. But isn't Spain a member of the European Union? Yes, it is. Isn't Spain a strong economy? Yes, it is. Isn't Spain a democratic country? I can see. Yes, it is. Isn't Spain the number 11 economy in the world? I'm not sure. Maybe. It's between number 8 and number 14, yes. Isn't Spain located between France and Morocco? Yes, it is. And isn't France just north of Spain? Yes, it is. Isn't Russia the biggest country in Europe? Yes, it is. Isn't Russia the biggest country in Europe in population too? In population, yes, it is. Isn't Germany the biggest country in Europe, in the European Union? Well, it depends. What does it depend on? What does it depend on? Repetid eso, ahora rápido. ¿De qué depende? A ver si puedes decirlo bien. Anda. No, sorry. ¿De qué depende? What does it depend on? Repeat. No. What does it depend on? Enlazando. What does it depend on? ¿De qué depende? Well, I said Germany is the biggest country, or I said con pregunta negativa. No es Alemania. Isn't Germany the biggest country in the European Union? And I said, well, it depends. 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 Well, what does it depend on? It depends on your category. What category? Well, area. 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 Así se pronuncia. Area? Well, what do you mean by area? Extensión. Well, no, Germany isn't the biggest country in the European Union in area. Well, what's the biggest country? Well, isn't Spain the biggest country in area in the European Union? No, it's not. Well, what country is the biggest in the European Union in area? France, I think, is the biggest country in the European Union in area. Well, isn't France the biggest in population too? No, it's not. No? Isn't Italy the biggest in population in the European Union? No, it's not. Well, isn't Russia the biggest? Well, excuse me, Russia isn't a member of the European Union. Why isn't Russia a member of the European Union? Because historically Russia is in the Eastern Bloc, the Soviet bloc. Well, what country is the biggest in the European Union in population? Germany is. 80 million people. Okay, we'll come back to continue on this and other things after the next teacher. I'll be back.
Thank you, Richard, and welcome everyone to the first show, but not the last one, of this advanced level. I'm very happy to be here with you, and I hope we can improve together, okay? Today, I'm here with a very, very special student who's a little bit nervous, but shouldn't be, okay? And her name is Cristina. Let's meet her. Hi, how are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thanks.
How's everything? Are you a bit nervous?
Just a bit. It's the first time, you know.
No worries at all, okay? You shouldn't be worried at all, okay? Because we're here to have fun.
Okay.
Yeah? Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, ready.
Okay, good. Okay. At home, as you probably know, we're going to review everything that Richard has explained, okay? It's a lot, but we're going to do it together, okay? I hope you're ready. Okay, remember, before we start practicing, something that's very important, okay? It's very important that you repeat everything I ask you and Cristina out loud, okay? There's no point of learning a language if you're not going to speak it, because this language is there to practice it, right? So even though I can't hear you, you need to speak out loud, okay? So you can work on your pronunciation, okay? Are you ready? Okay, let's start, okay? Are you ready, Cristina?
I'm ready.
Okay, very easy. I'm just going to ask you to ask me why. Always, okay?
Okay.
So whatever I say, you have to be a bit nosy. What is a bit nosy? What is nosy? Cotilla.
Oh.
Okay? You have to be a bit nosy, you're at home as well, and you always have to ask me why. Okay? So for example, the book isn't on the table. Why isn't it on the table? Okay? All right, let's start. We're only going to practice the verb to be in the present, so it's a piece of cake in theory, right? Okay, let's start. I'm not single.
Why are not you single?
Okay,
Why
why
are
aren't
you
you single?
single?
Very
Yeah,
good. Don't
sorry.
worry. Okay, back at home. You probably made this mistake too, okay? So, okay, very important, okay? With negative questions. Negative questions are difficult because not only do you have to think of changing the order, but you also have to remember of putting the contraction at the beginning, right? Why aren't you single, okay? I'm not ready. Why aren't you ready, okay? Remember to contract. And remember also that the pronunciation of the verb to be in the negative, aren't, is one syllable. I never, ever, ever, ever want to hear aren't, okay? Christina said it perfectly, so let's hear her say it again. That pronunciation was great. Let's hear you say it. Very good. Aren't. Very good. Okay, Christina.
Why aren't you single?
Okay, very good. Perfect pronunciation. The next one. My wife isn't American.
Why isn't your wife American?
Very good. And if you used a pronoun?
Why isn't she American?
Very good. Okay. At home, I want to hear you say it too. My wife isn't American. Very good. Why isn't she American? Very important with the verb to be is, okay? Remember that it's like a B, okay? It's like Z. So why isn't she American? There has to be a very clear difference between the Z sound and the sh sound. Sound, I said sound. Say it again. Very good. Let's hear Christina say it again.
Why isn't she American?
Perfect. The next one. She isn't a seamstress. What's a seamstress? Do you think they know at home? Maybe. I would say they know. She doesn't trust you. But yes, I trust you. What does seamstress mean? It means modista. Yeah? Modista. Okay? So, she isn't a seamstress.
Why isn't she a seamstress?
Very good pronunciation. They aren't there.
Why aren't they there?
Very good. Very good pronunciation. I'm going to ask you at home the next one, okay? He isn't in the front row. Okay? What is in the front row? En la primera fila. Okay? So he isn't in the front row. Very good. Why isn't he in the front row? Very good pronunciation. I heard you right all the way from here, okay? The next one for Cristina. She isn't happy with the results.
Why isn't she happy with the results?
Okay, now I want you to repeat again, and I want to hear that difference between isn't and then the she, okay?
Why isn't she happy with the results?
Very good. Next one. I'm not at the butcher's.
Why aren't you at the butcher's?
Okay, butcher is like a b. Okay, go again.
Okay. Why aren't you at the butcher's?
Very good. What's the butcher's?
Charcuteria.
Yeah, or carnicero or whatever. Yeah, very good. Cristina knows everything. She's studied a lot for today, okay? You at home, I want you to repeat. Did I say he? He isn't at the butcher's. Repeat. Very good. Why isn't he at the butcher's? Okay, the next sentence is for you at home. Let's see if you get this one right, okay? She isn't well off. Very good. Why isn't she well off? What is well off? Do you know at home? Let's see if Cristina knows.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. It's not rich. It's not middle class. It's how do you say this? Adinerado. It's not rich. Rich, it's a little bit less than rich, okay? I think the translation is adinerado, okay? No rico, well off means adinerado. So, what did I say? She isn't rich.
Why isn't she rich?
Again, I want to hear that difference between isn't
Why
she
isn't she... isn't she rich?
or well off.
Why isn't...
You're perfect.
Why isn't she well off?
She.
Why isn't she well off?
Very good. One more time.
Why isn't she well off?
Very, very good. Thank you very much. And you did a great job. And you at home, you did an excellent job as well, just like Cristina, okay? And I'll leave you with Richard. See you. Bye.
Okay, welcome back. All right, let's continue with negative questions with why and without why. Camera number 1. Isn't Germany the biggest country? So, following the example from before. Isn't Germany the biggest country in the European Union in population? Yes, it is. Wasn't it the biggest in population 20 years ago? No, it wasn't. No. Now it's the biggest, but 20 years ago it wasn't the biggest. What country was the biggest in the European Union in population 20 years ago? France was. And why wasn't Germany? Well, because Germany didn't exist 20 years ago. Well, why didn't Germany exist? Because it was divided into West Germany and East Germany, the German Democratic Republic and the Federal Republic of Germany. Ah, okay. So why wasn't Germany the biggest 20 years ago? Because it wasn't a country. It was divided. It was smaller than France in population 20 years ago, before the fall of the Iron Curtain, before the fall of the Berlin Wall. Do you remember the fall of the Berlin Wall? November 9th, I think it was November 9th, 1989. Almost 20 years ago, if you're watching this program in real time, okay? But in any case, why aren't you? Why aren't you listening to me carefully? Are you listening to me carefully? No, you're not. Well, why aren't you listening to me carefully? Why aren't you sitting still? Why aren't you watching carefully? Why aren't you paying attention? Why aren't you? La atención se paga en inglés, no se presta. Why aren't you? Fijaos en la pronunciación de aren't. Aren't. Es una sola sílaba. No decimos aren't. Decimos aren't. ¿Por qué no estás aquí? Why aren't you here? ¿Por qué no me estás prestando atención? Why aren't you paying attention? Why weren't you here yesterday? I was here yesterday, but you weren't. Weren't. Otra vez una sola sílaba. Weren't. 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 Why weren't you here yesterday? California wasn't a state of the United States in 1820. And why wasn't California a state? Because it was part of Mexico in 1820. But it wasn't a part of Mexico in the year 1800. And why wasn't California a part of Mexico? And why wasn't California a part of Spain, a part of Mexico, in the year 1800? Because it was a part of Spain. The area that is today Mexico belonged to Spain in the year 1800, and California was part of it. Okay? Now, I wasn't here yesterday. You weren't? Yeah, ask me why. Well, why weren't you here yesterday? Because yesterday for me was a holiday. Yeah. And you weren't here yesterday either. Me? Why wasn't I here yesterday? Because yesterday, if you remember, was a holiday. No, it wasn't. Yes, it was. For me, it wasn't a holiday. And why wasn't it a holiday for you yesterday? Because I was watching you on television and I was studying English. Okay. This isn't a table. Question, why? Why isn't that a table? Because it's a pen. And this pen wasn't in my pocket yesterday. Ask me why. Well, why wasn't that pen? Why wasn't that pen in your pocket yesterday? Because yesterday it was a holiday and I didn't use this pen. Why isn't it? Why wasn't it? Why aren't you ready? Why weren't you ready yesterday? Why aren't I the main teacher? Porque no soy yo el capitán de los profesores. Why aren't I the captain of the teachers? Es curioso. Esto es una pequeña aberración en inglés. Una incorrección asimilada en el idioma que todos los nativos usamos. ¿Por qué no soy yo? Yo soy es I am. No soy, I am not. Soy, am I, pero cuando haces la pregunta negativa, no decimos, am I not? Decimos, aren't. Aren't I? Aren't I the main teacher? Aren't I the captain of the team of teachers? Come on. Aren't I? Aren't you? Isn't he? Isn't she? Isn't it? Aren't they? Aren't we? Are you in England now? No? I'm not in England either. ¿Por qué no estamos en Inglaterra? Why aren't we? Why aren't we in England? Aren't you a student? Aren't I the teacher? Okay. Then why aren't we studying English and working with English? Isn't this a pen? Yes, it is. Aren't these lights bright? Aren't those lights, or these lights, porque los tengo delante, aren't these lights bright? Yes, they are. Isn't your makeup, isn't Richard, yes? Isn't your makeup, maquillaje, uncomfortable? Yes, it is. No te, isn't your nose itching? ¿No te está picando la nariz por el maquillaje? Isn't your nose itching? A little bit, yes, it is. Aren't your eyes burning? Quemando, bueno, escociendo. Yes, a little. Yes, my eyes are burning a little. Aren't you starting to get sleepy? Aren't you? Aren't you? Yes. No, I'm not. Why aren't you getting sleepy? Because I had 2 coffees before starting this program. That's why I'm not getting sleepy. But Richard, aren't you the leader teacher? Yes, I am. So, isn't it your responsibility to lead? Isn't it your responsibility to lead? Yes, it is. Then why aren't you leading? Well, I am leading. No, you're not. Yes, I am. You're simply talking. No, I'm not. I'm explaining very concisely certain aspects and giving 100 possible examples in 7 or 8 minutes, which is not easy. Yeah. Isn't this a nice watch? Don't you like it? Isn't this a nice watch? Don't you like it? Dos preguntas negativas. Isn't this a nice watch? Don't you like it? Isn't this cup cool? Que mola mucho. Isn't this cup cool? Don't you like it? Isn't this a nice pen? Oh, se me va. Isn't this a nice pen? Don't you like it? Aren't you a good student? Why aren't you a good student? Negative questions. Always with the contraction. All right? And we'll see more negative questions in the future. Now, our sponsors have some words. Our sponsors want to say something, but I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I'm not ready. Ask me why. Richard, why aren't you? Why aren't you ready? He's not ready. Ask me why. Richard, why isn't he ready? Why isn't she ready? Why aren't you ready? Why aren't I ready? Why aren't they ready? Why aren't we ready? ¿Por qué no estamos listos ya? Why aren't we? Aren't we ready yet? And yesterday morning, why weren't you in class? Why weren't you? Aren't you? Weren't you? Ambos una sola sílaba. Aren't, weren't. Why aren't you ready now? Why weren't you in class yesterday? Why wasn't I in class yesterday? Why wasn't he in class? Why wasn't she in class? Why weren't they in class? Why weren't we in class? Okay? Aren't, weren't, isn't. Eso lo cubre todo. Okay. See you in a few minutes after the next teacher.
Thank you, Richard. My name's David Wardell, and I'm here to put into practice all the things that he was looking at. Now, namely, negative questions with the verb to be in the past. Now, to help me with this, I have a very, very special guest with me today. His name is David. How are you today, David?
I'm fine, thank you.
Are you well?
Yeah, I'm okay, thank you.
Good. And how is your English?
Okay,
yeah,
getting by. Yeah.
Do you have any problems with any?
Yes, of course. I have a lot of problems. Yes.
What is your main problem with English?
Probably pronunciation.
Pronunciation.
Yes, I have a lot of problems with pronunciation.
So I'm going to correct you a lot on your pronunciation.
Please.
Don't worry. Okay, so the exercise today is negative questions with the verb to be in the past. So why weren't? Why wasn't? Weren't. Weren't. Can you say weren't?
Weren't.
Weren't. Not weren't, but weren't. Very good.
Weren't.
And wasn't is fácil, no? Wasn't.
Yeah, wasn't.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a sentence and I want you to turn it into a question. So, for example, if I say, I wasn't here on Sunday, and I'll say, ask me why. And you'll say, why weren't you here on Sunday? Why weren't you here on Sunday?
Okay.
So, I wasn't here on Sunday. Why weren't you here on Sunday? So, let's repeat that one. I wasn't here on Sunday. Ask me why.
Why weren't you here on Sunday?
Again?
Why weren't you here on Sunday?
Mejor, not weren't.
Yeah.
Weren't. One more time.
Why weren't you here on Sunday?
Very good. Okay, in casa, why weren't you here on Sunday? Why weren't, not weren't. Why weren't you here on Sunday? Good. The next one. I wasn't at the party on Friday. Ask me why.
Why weren't you at the party on Friday?
Okay, good. One more time.
Why weren't you at the party on Friday?
Good. Okay, one more time.
Why weren't you at the party on Friday?
Muy bien. Okay, in casa, I wasn't at the party on Friday. Ask me why. Why weren't you at the party on Friday? Why weren't you at the party on Friday? Very good. Okay, the next one. My best friend wasn't there. My best friend wasn't there. Ask me why.
Why wasn't your best friend there?
Okay, one more time.
Why wasn't your best friend there?
Good. There. Secando la lengua, yeah?
There.
Okay, one more time.
Why wasn't your best friend there?
Good. Why wasn't your best friend there? Why wasn't your best friend there? In uno. Otra vez.
Why wasn't your best friend there?
Why wasn't your best friend there? Muy bien. Okay, en casa. Why wasn't your best friend there? Repeat. A ver. Muy bien. Why wasn't your best friend there? Why wasn't your best friend there? Good. Okay, the next one. He wasn't feeling very well. Ask me why.
Why wasn't he feeling very well?
Muy bien. Repeat.
Why wasn't he feeling very well?
Very good. Muy bien. En casa. He wasn't feeling very well. Ask me why. Why wasn't he feeling very well? Why wasn't he feeling very well? Why wasn't he? Wasn't he? Was not he? Wasn't he? Wasn't he? Say wasn't he?
Wasn't it?
Wasn't he?
Wasn't he?
Wasn't he? L.
Wasn't he?
Well,
No.
it's we don't pronounce the H,
Okay.
really. Why wasn't he?
Why wasn't he?
Así, muy bien. Why
Okay.
wasn't he very well, for example? Or why wasn't he feeling very well? Why wasn't he feeling very well? Repeat.
Why wasn't he feeling very well?
Muy bien. Excellent. So why wasn't he feeling very well? The next one. We weren't. Okay, in this sentence there are lots of W's, okay? Lots and lots of W's. So it'll be good for your pronunciation. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Good, okay. We weren't wearing white. We weren't wearing white. We weren't wearing white. Ask me why.
Why weren't you wearing white?
Hey, muy bien. Otra vez.
Why weren't you wearing white?
Why weren't you wearing white? Why weren't?
Weren't.
Así, muy bien.
Weren't.
Again.
Why weren't you wearing white?
Perfect, perfect. And now even faster.
Why weren't you wearing white?
Muy bien. Okay, en casa. We weren't wearing white. Ask me why. Why weren't you wearing white? 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 Muy bien, no? Okay. The next one, more W's. William wasn't working on Wednesday. William wasn't working on Wednesday. Ask me why.
Why wasn't William working on Wednesday?
Again.
Why wasn't William working on Wednesday?
Excellent. One more time.
Why wasn't William working on Wednesday?
Perfecto. Okay, en casa. William wasn't working on Wednesday. Ask me why. Good. Why wasn't William working on Wednesday? Why wasn't William working on Wednesday? Muchos W. Why wasn't William working on Wednesday? One more. Let's do another one. Walter wasn't with me when they warned me. Warned is avisar, yeah? So Walter wasn't with me when they warned me. Ask me why.
Why wasn't Walter with you when they warned you?
Okay, repeat.
Why wasn't Walter with you when they warned you?
Muy bien, un lengua. It's a tongue twister, we say, tongue twister. One more time.
Why wasn't Walter with you with the...
Why
wasn't Walter with you when they warned you?
Muy bien, okay. So Walter wasn't with me when they warned me. So, ask me why. Why wasn't Walter with you when they warned you? Why wasn't Walter with, con th, with you, when they warned you? Muy bien, let's try another one.
Right.
This time we won't have any more W's. I think we've worked the W's to death.
Okay.
Okay, the next one. Yesterday wasn't a good day for me. Yesterday wasn't a good day for me. So ask me why.
Why wasn't yesterday a good day for you?
Muy bien, repeat.
Why wasn't yesterday a good day for you?
Good. We say yesterday, not yesterday, yesterday. Why wasn't yesterday a good day for you? Why wasn't yesterday a good day for you? Repeat.
Why wasn't yesterday a good day for you?
Very good. A good day for you. A good day, not good day. Good day.
A good day for you.
Try and link the words good with day. Good day. Good day.
Okay.
Why
Why wasn't yesterday a good day for you?
Perfecto. Mucho más natural. Why wasn't yesterday a good day? A good day. A good day. No, a good day for you. One more time.
Why wasn't yesterday a good day for you?
Very good. Okay. Why wasn't yesterday a good day for me? I'm not going to answer any of these questions because it's a bit personal, I think, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. The weather wasn't good enough. The weather wasn't good enough.
Why wasn't the weather good enough?
Good. Good enough. Good enough.
enough.
Okay. Repeat.
Why wasn't the weather Why wasn't the weather good enough?
Why wasn't the weather good enough? One more time.
Why wasn't the weather good enough?
Good. Okay. In casa. No, I'm not happy. One more time.
Why wasn't the weather Why wasn't the weather good enough?
Why wasn't the weather good enough? Good enough.
Good enough.
Yeah. One more
Good
time.
enough. Why wasn't the weather good enough?
No. Good enough. Good enough. Not good enough. Good enough.
Good enough.
Así.
Why wasn't the weather good enough?
Good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough. Así. Yeah.
Why wasn't the weather good enough?
Good enough. Good enough. Not good enough, but good enough.
Good enough.
Good enough.
Why wasn't the weather good enough?
Very good. Well, thank you very much for watching, and now I'm going to hand you back to Richard. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, welcome back. Camera 1, let's continue. Okay, yeah, this pin is very hard. This pin is so hard that I can't break it. It's so hard that I can't break it. So, that. Yes. Burgos is far from Madrid. It's so far from Madrid that I can't walk there in one day. Really, I can't. It's too far. I can't walk there in one day. It's so far away. And the moon is so far away that we need 4 days to fly there in a spaceship or in a spacecraft, nave espacial. It's so far away. And English is so difficult that nobody can learn it perfectly if they start after puberty. Nobody can learn it perfectly, okay? Only if you start really before the age of 5. It's so difficult. And Spanish too. Spanish is so difficult that you can't master the language if you don't start as a child. It's so difficult. Okay. La palabra tan en inglés, perdón, en español, es tan difícil que nadie lo puede aprender. It's so difficult, y se alarga so con cierta énfasis para darle dramatismo. Spanish is so difficult that nobody can learn it perfectly. Algebra is so difficult for some people that they never progress. Yes, anthropology is so fascinating that even people who aren't intelligent become fascinated with it. It's so intelligent. That, no than, that. Okay? Y esto no es una comparación, ni es comparativo, ni un comparativo. Okay. Los comparativos van con as. Sin embargo, en español usáis la palabra tan para ambos casos. Este bolígrafo es tan ligero que podría cargarme con 80 sin problema. Es tan ligero que, pero no es tan ligero como una pluma. Okay. This pen is so light that I could carry 80, but it's not as light as a feather. Okay, it's clear. In one case, we use so, because we're not making a comparison. In the other case, when we make a comparison, comparándolo con una pluma, with a feather In this case, we use as in both sides of the adjective. This pen is so light that I could carry 80 with no problem. But it's not as light as a feather. It's not as light as a feather. This water is so refreshing that I feel good after drinking, after taking a sip. This water is so refreshing that I feel good. Me encuentro bien. That I feel good after only one sip. But it's not as refreshing as a good cold beer, okay? But it's refreshing. Now, this method is so good that it can be used for any level, any student, and any person of any level of intelligence and hard work. But it's not as good as a good teacher. This method is not as good as a good teacher, all right? This room is so hot because of the lights. This room is so hot that we need to stop and turn on the air conditioning between every segment. But this room is not as hot as the planet Mercury. Venus is a very hot planet. It's the second closest to the sun. Yes, it's a very hot planet. It's so hot that you and I can't live there. But it's not as hot as Mercury. Mercury is hotter, okay? Now, the Empire State Building in New York City is very high. In fact, it's so high that you need 30 minutes to walk to the top. It's so high that we need, or a person needs 30 minutes to walk to the top if they use the stairs. But the Empire State Building is not as high as the Twin Towers in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. The Empire State Building isn't as high as the towers in Kuala Lumpur, all right? The Atlantic Ocean is very big. It's so big that you need 5 days to cross it on a fast ship. But it's not as big as the Pacific Ocean. No. It's not as big as the Pacific Ocean. Now, the North Pole is very cold. It's very cold. It's so cold that you and I can't live there. It's too cold for us. It's too cold for inhabitants. But it's not as cold as the South Pole. The South Pole is even colder. The Arabian Desert is very big. The Arabian Desert is in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, the capital is Riyadh, and the second most important city is Jeddah. Saudi Arabia, you don't understand. Saudi Arabia. You still don't understand. Well, ask me how to say Saudi Arabia in Spanish. Excuse me, Richard, how do you say Saudi Arabia? Yes, Saudi Arabia. How do you say Saudi Arabia in Spanish? Arabia Saudita. Anda, dilo otra vez. Say it again, say it again. Saudi, de la familia Saudi, Saud, okay? Saudi Arabia, anda. Arabia, yes. The first letter in the alphabet is A, Arabia, Saudi Arabia. And the Arabian Desert is the desert in Saudi Arabia. It's a very big desert. In fact, it's so big that you can't cross it with camels. But it's not as big as the Sahara Desert. It's not as big as the Sahara Desert. India is a very big country. Yes, 1 billion people, 1 billion people. There are 1 billion people in India. It's a very big country. Yes. In fact, it's so big that it's practically impossible to conduct a decent census. It's very difficult, if not impossible. It's so big that it's impossible to conduct a valid census. It's so big, but it's not as big as China. It's not as big as China in population and in area. China is even bigger than India. And the United States is very big in area. It's so big that it takes 6 hours to cross from Boston to Los Angeles. But it's not as big as Canada. Canada is even bigger than the United States in area. It's even bigger. Okay, let me pass the testigo, como dice aquí. Let me pass the baton to our next teacher, and then I'll come back and close the program.
Thank you very much, Richard. All right, well, my name is Alberto Alonso, and you are watching Vaughan Inglés 4.0, 4.0. And I am here with a very special student. This is the first time that she is my student, and I'm very excited to have a new student. Estoy emocionado. I'm very excited. So, without any further ado, let me welcome my wonderful student for today. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Beatriz. Hello, Beatriz. How are you?
Hello, Alberto. Fine, thanks.
All right. Now, this is your second time doing television. Is this correct?
Yes, that's true.
All right. Well, you're going to be fine. You're going to do a great job. I'm confident in you. I'm very confident in you. Are you confident in yourself?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's important. You have to have self-confidence when you speak. And how do you get self-confidence? By speaking a lot. By getting used to it, acostumbrándote. And then you're more and more confident. When I began speaking Spanish, when I came to Spain 5 years ago, I wasn't as confident as I am now. Why? Because I wasn't practicing as much. But now I practice and I feel self-confident when I speak. Okay, so that's the trick. Repeating until it sounds normal and natural to you. Okay? All right, well, we're going to look at some vocabulary. Remember, every day we have 5 new vocabulary words. So imagine 5 new words a day, 365 days a year. You do the math. That's a lot of vocabulary. All right, but the idea is to keep them here and keep them here. You have to keep them in your head, and then you have to say them aloud, en voz alta, con nosotros. Here we go. Ready, Beatriz?
Yes.
How do you say levantar? Ugh.
To lift.
To lift. Eso es. To lift. Es un verbo regular. Lift, lifted, lifted. Okay? Lift. To lift. Okay. How do you say? Esto tiene dos sentidos. Sentidos, vamos a decir. Okay. Disparar algo y echar a alguien. Disparar una pistola o algo así y echar a alguien de un puesto.
To fire someone from
To fire.
his job.
Yeah, to fire. Porque fire tiene dos sentidos. Ahora, ¿cómo sabemos la diferencia? How do we know the difference? Simple. The context. No vas a poner, si estás hablando de un trabajo, vas a usar fire. So to get fired is que te echen. So to fire. Okay, did your boss fire you? I hope not. I hope not. Okay, to fire. Okay, how do you say horno?
Oven.
Okay, be careful. Es que soy malo. Te he puesto un poco de truco. Es un error muy común. Mucha gente dice oven, como una O, pero es a. Oven. Es más como una A. So try it again. Repítelo un par de veces. Yo lo hago primero y después tú. Oven, oven, oven.
Oven. Oven. Oven.
Absolutely. Perfect. Right? Sí, entonces no hay tanto O, no es oven, pero oven. One more time.
Oven.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 points. 5 points. And I forgot to give you 5 points for lift and fire, so you have 15 points. 15 puntos. 15 points. Okay, the next one. How do you say adivinar?
To guess.
Yes, absolutely. Guess. Guess. Hay un chiste con eso. There's a joke with that. Okay, a man asked another man, he said, what kind of jeans are those? ¿Qué tipo de vaqueros llevas? Y el tío dice, guess. Dice, Levi's? ¿Levi's? No, guess. Right? Guess es adivinar. Entonces, acuérdate, cuando ves la marca guess, pues adivina. Guess. Okay, good. Muy bien. 5 puntos más. 20 puntitos. ¿Cuántos puntos tenéis en casa? I hope you have 20 points like she does. Okay, bonus points, double points. Por 10 puntos, how do you say significa?
Means.
Means, yes. Means. What does it mean? ¿Qué significa? Means. I'm going to give you that bonus points. You have 30 points. Beatriz has 30 points. How many points do you have at home? Do you have 30 like Beatriz? I hope so. Okay, very good, Beatriz. Those are the vocabulary words for today. Okay, now, remember, you have to always review them or else you will forget them. Now, how do you say, vamos a mirar la lección de hoy, ¿cómo se dice, ese vaso es tan grande, o taza en este caso, esta taza es tan grande como esa?
That cup is as big as that other cup.
Yeah, this cup is as big as. La construcción es tan grande como, es as big as. Ahora, mucha gente confunde y dicen, so big that. Ahora, so big that, eso no vale allí, pero vale en otra estructura. Tan grande que no lo puedo beber. That cup is so big that I can't drink it. ¿Ves? Pero no es comparación. El as big as es una comparación de dos cosas. Right? Entonces vamos a practicar el so big that, pero en la forma normal, no en comparación, como que sería el error. Ok, so yo te voy a decir, por ejemplo, the book is very big, I can't put it in my pocket. ¿Cómo lo medirías con el so big that? The book is very big, I can't put it in my pocket.
The book is so big that I can't put it in my pocket.
Yes, the book is so big that I can't put it in my pocket. Now, quiero que lo digas un poco más fluido, porque lo estabas pensando. Y normal, la primera vez lo dices, pero lo que queremos es que lo digas de una forma fluida. Okay, so let's try it again. Yo lo digo primero, si quieres. The book is so big that I can't put it in my pocket.
The book is so big that I can't put it in my pocket.
Absolutely. Sí, así fluye más. Entonces, no vale solo con decirlo una vez. You want to say it a few times so it feels natural to you. Okay, vamos a hacer otra. The test is very difficult. I can't pass it. Okay?
The text is so
No
difficult.
text, pero test. Right?
The test is so difficult that I can't pass it.
Yeah, good. That was más fluido. Ahora tienes la estructura. The test is so difficult that I can't pass it. Okay, good. Let's try another one. How do you say letrero? Sign.
Sign.
Lo mismo que
Okay.
firmar.
No,
Okay?
that's it.
Sign. Okay, please sign the sign. Firma el letrero. Nunca dirías eso, pero sign the sign. Okay, but here we go. So here's another one for you. Okay, the sign is very far away. Está muy lejos. I can't read it.
The sign is so far away that I can't read it.
Yeah, the sign is so far away that I can't read it. Very good. Okay, so far, so good. Hasta ahora, todo bien. Okay. Now, how do you say luz de vela? Candlelight. Candlelight.
Okay.
We say the candle. Y
That's
cuando no es oscuro, cuando es una luz que no brilla muchísimo, it's dim. D-I-M. So te voy a dar estas. Es vocabulario nuevo aquí a lo mejor, o repasando. Ready? Okay, the candle is very dim. The candlelight, perdona. The candlelight is very dim. I can't read the book.
The candlelight is so dim that I can't read the book.
Absolutely. The candlelight is so dim that I can't read the book. Acordados, so big that. No lo podemos hacer como tan grande como, pero puede ser tan grande que. Y eso es donde viene el error. Así que separa esos dos y practica. Okay? Well, listen, we're out of time. Can you believe it? Okay, but remember, so big that, tan grande que. As big as, tan grande como. Keep studying. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Okay, one class. We've finished class number 1. It's a good start. We have finished one class. But tomorrow we have another, and the next day another, and a lot of classes. I think about 195 classes for this level. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. We have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of material to cover. It's a wealth of material. Wealth. No lo confundas con health, que es salud. Wealth is riqueza de material. We have a wealth of material that needs to be covered, and I need your collaboration and your cooperation in this effort, because without your help, my job is a waste of time. Okay? So I need your effort, and I need your study, and I need your special attention. And then we'll make miracles together. See you tomorrow.